Chapter 9, Mishnah 1. As explained in the introduction to this chapter, a neder can be annulled using an opening, i.e. an undesirable result of the neder that the person had not expected and that would have prevented him from making the neder had he thought of it. The chapter discusses various openings and teaches which ones are valid grounds to annul a neder and which are not. Rabbi Eliezer says, we may use an opening for a person to be released from his neder based on concern for the honor of his father and his mother. That is, we ask him, if, when you made the neder, you would have realized that people would shame your parents for your sin of making Nedarim, would you still have made the neder? If he answers that he would not have made the neder, we may annul it. But the sages forbid using such an opening to annul a neder, because no one would admit that he lacks concern for his parents. Therefore, even if this person does not care about his parents and their honor would not have prevented him from making the neder, he would not admit it. Instead, he will lie and say that it would have prevented him. Since his answer cannot be trusted, this opening is invalid. Rabbi Eliezer's opinion is questioned. Rabbi Tzadok said, according to Rabbi Eliezer's reasoning, just as we can use an opening for a person based on his concern for the honor of his father and his mother, we should also be able to use an opening for him based on his concern for the honor of God. That is, we could ask him, had you known that you would be considered wicked by God because of your sin of making Nedarim, would you have made the neder? Certainly, Rabbi Eliezer agrees that such an opening is invalid. Since no one would admit that he lacks respect for God, a person who says that concern for God's honor would have prevented him from making his neder might not be telling the truth. Now, if an opening based on God's honor is invalid for this reason, an opening based on the honor of one's parents should be invalid too, for the same reason. The Mishnah defends Rabbi Eliezer's opinion by arguing that there is a major difference between an opening based on God's honor and an opening based on parental honor. If so, i.e., if an opening based on the honor of God would be valid, Nedarim will not be annulled properly, because as stated above, no one would admit that he does not care about God's honor. Rather, he will lie and claim that concern for God's honor would have prevented him from making the neder. Rabbi Eliezer agrees, therefore, that such an opening is invalid. This is quite different from an opening based on parental honor, because according to Rabbi Eliezer, a person would not be afraid to admit that he is unconcerned about the honor of his parents. The Mishnah cites a case in which Rabbi Eliezer and the sages agree. The sages agree with Rabbi Eliezer that if someone made a neder regarding a matter that is between him and his father and mother, for example, he prohibited his parents to benefit from him, that we may use an opening for him based on his concern for the honor of his father and his mother. Since he directed a neder against his parents, he has shown that he does not care about them. In this case, then, if concern for their honor would not have prevented him from making the neder, he would have admitted as much. Thus, if he says that it would have prevented him, we believe him.